VF Corp, ticker symbol VFC, just released its first quarter earnings. We're going to be taking a look at that today, and we're going to see whether the stock could be headed up or down in the future, and what my current take is on the business. So looking at it, we have a price per share of $12.22, but I really don't care what the price per share is, whether it's $1 or $10. If I double my money, if that market cap doubles, then I will have doubled my money. So I'm a lot more conscious about the market cap than the price per share. Looking at the price to earnings, I can see that they operate at a loss, which is not what I want to see. I want to see businesses that are generating profit every year. So this company is losing money. I don't care about the price per share. I care more about the market cap. And I see here that the enterprise value is just about double the enterprise value, which consists of the market cap, their cash or cash equivalents, as well as their debts all combined. And that comes out to 11.4 billion, whereas their market cap's 4.75. So this tells me that there could be a potential for a turnaround for this type of stock, but we'll have to look into it later. If you don't know what VF Corp is, pause the video and read the description. They operate brands like Supreme, Timberland, North Face, Vans, and Dickies. We can see that based on their financial strength, they have a cash debt ratio of 0.1. So they have 10 cents for every dollar that they have of debts. When it comes to their profitability and their margins, we can see their gross margin is pretty strong versus the industry. Although versus history, this is just about the average they've achieved in the last 10 years. The lowest operating in the last 10 years, and the lowest net in the last 10 years. So I use these to tell me a little bit about the business's profitability, but for management strength, I would use ROE, ROA, ROIC, and ROC. And for these, we're seeing return on equity negative 41%, so not a great sign. Return on assets as well, negative. Return on invested capital, just about 20, so pretty solid there. And return on capital is 0.11, so just barely breaking above water. They do not have a price to earnings ratio because they're not profitable. Here's a big signal for me. When it comes to their financials, looking at their revenue, we can see that the revenues from 2013 and their most recent annual revenues are just about the same size. So we're not seeing an up and to the right type pattern. This company is not going to be significantly growing its revenues in the next 10 years because even looking at the last 10, their revenues are flat. It just depends where their margins have came in. That determines how the stock price will be moving. And looking at that debt as well, debt is seriously piling up. But switching to quarterly to see their most recent quarter, has their net losses accelerating. So not really a good signal there. Switching back to annual, I would think the real recovery could happen for the stock if they were able to recover that net and get back in the green here. So for most businesses that I'm looking for, I'm not looking for this type of business where it's a turnaround type, where you can get sort of a cap on the growth that you can expect to return as an investor in this company. For example, this company could double or triple, but it's not going to see that revenue growth over the next 10 years where you get the 10 bag or 20 bag or 30 bag. 30 multiple over 10 years is more so what I'm going for than a simple turnaround. But it does look like that's the type of business that we're looking at here, where if they are to just have one of these type of years where they can get those net margins back in pace, then we would see a significant upside. But there is a cap to it. It's not going to end up 30xing or something like that. So normally that's what I look for. But for the sake of VFC, I do love the brand. I love Vans, and I don't want to see the business go under. So I am going to be tracking it and keeping up with that. And, if I make a little bit of money on the way, so be it. So VF Corp is making most of that money from their clothing and apparels. I do like that this company is focused into one segment, which is mainly apparel and workwear. Some companies will diversify into other businesses which aren't exactly in their specialty. So I wouldn't want to see this company talking about AI. I would not want to see them talking about starting a fast food chain or branching into another industry. I'm glad that they're sticking to their industry. and they're trying to dominate that industry by even acquiring brands like Supreme, which they did roughly a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And I am pretty happy about them being split between the US and foreign. So they get just about equal parts of their revenues from the US and foreign countries. Seeing where it could be headed from here, let's run a DCF. So right away, I'm seeing a 1-star business predictability. And for earnings per share, we have negative values on the 5 and 3 year. So declining growth. And for free cash flow as well, another negative. And this makes me think about a quote that I saw the other day. And that was, negative margins have no value. So a company with negative margins doesn't have value. It doesn't earn anything. It's losing money, So it's hard to value a business like that when it comes to a DCF. It would be much easier to just value the business as a whole, because Vans might be worth $1 billion. Supreme might be worth $500 million. North Face might be worth $1 billion, etc. So I would say more so it's just whether or not you think the combined value of these businesses is worth more than that $4.75 billion. I would argue that it probably is, and it would take me some time to run through it, but brand names do carry a lot of value. So I think Vans is one of those brands that youths love. North Face as well. Timberland is popular. Supreme is popular. Personally, I do like Dickies. I think all of these are great brands, but it's just a matter of the entire business as a whole not being profitable right now. So maybe if they were to sell off the North Face or Timberland or Supreme or Dickies or some of their other brands like JanSport, then they would be able to turn around these margins very quickly and become more profitable. But like I said, it's not going to be growing those revenues at a significant pace in my eyes. I think it could even decline its revenues and potentially increase its margins if management is considering selling those other brands in the VF Corp conglomerate. But for me, I would think a 10-year maximum could be around 98, all-time high. And even still, a more realistic could be closer to 50, which would be a 4x and change. But it's not going to go any higher than 8x. And that's my bet for the next 10 years. It's not going to go any higher than that. So that does present a pretty advantageous position where you can get 8x in 10 years if everything works out phenomenally. But I'm more so looking for things that are going to be growing over time so I can get this type of return and buy around this area, hopefully. Because when revenue is growing over time and the company is profitable, then it allows for compound growth, where this sort of has a recovery potential, but it doesn't have that long-term growing because the revenue is not going to be growing. So that's my take on VF Corp. They just released earnings. I'll probably update you guys in the future when they release another one. If you're new to investment, I do have a book published on Amazon called Powerized Investing, which gives out tips, tricks, insights that I wish I had when I started out on my investment journey, and condenses years worth of insight into a couple days worth of reading material. So if you want to level up and if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. I'm also working on a Discord server to connect with you guys, build a community, and hopefully together we can beat the S&P 500, because that is our goal with the channel. So look out for that in the future. If you like these type of videos, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll see you next time.